Before getting into Halloween, yesterday the governor was asked about the issuance of our guidance for small gatherings, really ways to reduce risk. That guidance added some of the same old that we've been talking about, trying to keep reinforcing the message on wearing your face covering, your mask, practicing physical distancing and good hand hygiene, and staying home if you're sick or if you're at a higher risk of severe illness. But what's new in that guidance? It's really talking about limiting the size of any gathering that you are planning to have. Really, we're asking you to limit that to 3 separate households so that we contain and reduce the amount of mixing that might be new. We're asking you to keep those events and activities to less than 2 hours, and really that they should be and must be done outside. And again, as the governor eloquently said and has said before, guidance here does not mean go. It does not mean that we're endorsing or suggesting that small gatherings happen. We just want to be able to provide, as we go into Halloween and a number of other holidays, important ways to reduce your risk so that we make sure you protect yourselves, your families, and your communities as we go into what is going to be a hard time with COVID, given flu, given cooler weather, and much of the increased spread that we're seeing across the nation and the globe. So on to Halloween. Finally, here the Halloween guidance and guidance for Dia de los Muertos celebrations. You can find this all at the covid19.ca.gov website as well. The highlights are that COVID-19 continues to pose an important risk, as we say time and time again. So some of the traditional Halloween celebrations, such as parties, door-to-door trick-or-treating, we know pose a high risk of spreading COVID and are therefore strongly discouraged. And we suggest families, given this, should plan now on safer alternatives. We also know that the state guidance may be supplemented, and even local health departments may have additional restrictions to what I'm sharing with you here. So please check with your local health departments, their own web pages, to see their own guidance for how to have a safer Halloween celebration. So as we said, for so many things, the safest way to celebrate is at home with your household or virtually. Virtual celebrations create a number of new opportunities for how to celebrate Halloween. We'll get to those on the next slide, but really celebrating at home, here are some fun ideas. My family's certainly considering some of these already. Creating a haunted house or a candy hunt, having a scary movie night, painting faces and carving pumpkins, decorating your backyard or your home, whatever you have, designing face masks that match your Halloween costume, sharing treats with your households. My kids are certainly asking how much candy, how they'll get their candy this year. And their mom and I are working on figuring that out exactly, but they will surely not be denied of some of it. And then enjoying a Halloween-themed meal outdoors with your household and up to 2 others. This is a great way to remind yourself on the small gathering guidelines that I just put out and ensuring that you follow those as well. I mentioned that there are certainly some new ways to celebrate virtually that many people are already sharing online. Costume contests and pumpkin carving contests online. What a fun way to reconnect with friends and people that you haven't seen in some time. Enjoying Halloween-themed art at an outdoor museum. I know a number of these are popping up across the state. And then car-based activities, making sure that you maybe do a drive-in scary movie or tour the Halloween displays in your community in your car. Some safer alternatives for Dia de los Muertos, again, emphasizing that the safest way is to celebrate at home with your household or virtually. Altars, consider creating altars in the front window or outside so others can view from a distance. Virtual altar, creating a virtual space to honor lost loved ones and sharing those with others. And then common cemetery visits. We recommend that if you are visiting a cemetery, only visit with those you live with. wearing your mask, practicing good physical distancing, and making sure that you're not mixing with others who happen to be at the same cemetery also visiting. Trick-or-treating, obviously a very important part of our guidance, and important part that I have said over the last many weeks will look different this year throughout the state. So some traditional celebrations, such as the parties, costume parties, and door-to-door trick-or-treating, we acknowledge pose a risk of spreading COVID-19 and therefore are strongly discouraged. The whole act of going door to door in groups, ringing doorbells, digging into buckets of delicious candy, create a risk at spreading COVID-19. The fact that positive cases are hard to discover and probably really challenging to contact trace also pose challenges that we feel like are too great. And during this hard time, we know the importance of Halloween. We believe that we've outlined a number of important activities can supplement and create alternatives in lieu of that trick-or-treating that so many people look forward to. Again, hopefully providing you with those alternatives that allow us to still have a fun, safe time for everyone. So regardless of how you choose to celebrate Halloween, we want you to keep these handful of things in mind. We want you to wear your face covering, and that's not the costume mask that you have. It needs to be a cloth face covering, just like you do when you go to outdoor events, when you go to the grocery store, or wherever you might be visiting with your face covering. To practice physical distancing, to practice good hygiene, to continue minimizing mixing, and staying home when you're sick and if you're in a high-risk group so that we don't risk having transmission and ultimately some of the worst outcomes we've seen with COVID.